My name is Do Yushen.
My name is Eng Pei.
Hi, my name is Shabita Shanmugam.
Now we want to talk about the science report for freezing experiment. A fun and simple science experiment called freezing color. In this experiment, children can get to observe the chemical reaction for common household ingredients such as baking soda and vinegar. This experiment introduces young children to basic scientific concepts, especially chemical reaction. The activity focuses on what happens when an acid, which is vinegar, reacts with a base, which is baking soda, resulting in the production of carbon dioxide gas. This reaction is presented as a sensory, colorful experience that is accessible to 6-year-old children. It integrates science, which is chemistry, mathematical language, which is measurable and comparison, and technology. We have two aims for this experiment. The first aim is to investigate what happens when the baking soda combined with the vinegar, and the second aim is to encourage children to observe, predict, and describe a simple chemical reaction. The hypothesis of this experiment is it is predicted when vinegar is added to baking soda, a freezing reaction will occur due to formation of carbon dioxide gas. Now I want to talk about the risk assessment. There are 3 potential hazards associated for this experiment. The first hazard is vinegar may cause children mild skin or eyes irritation. The risk is low, and the strategy to prevent this hazard is children will be supervised and they will be reminded do not touch their eyes and mouth. And the second hazard is spill material may cause surface to becoming slippery, and the risk also low, and the strategy to prevent this hazard is we will clean up immediately if they spill the vinegar on the floor. And the last hazard is accidental ingestion of material. The risk also low, and the strategy to prevent this hazard is supervision is provided and explain clearly that material are not for eating.
And for the method style, the material that we use is baking soda, vinegar, food coloring, container for mixing, pipettes for adding the liquid, and water. This is the steps. So for the first step that I'm going to talk is spread a layer of baking soda evenly in a container. And for the second step, let children choose food coloring and mix it with vinegar. And for the third step is let children use pipettes to drop the colored vinegar onto the baking soda. And for the fourth one, observe the bubbling reaction and encourage children to use their senses, example like sight and hearing, to describe or observe what is actually happening. And for the fifth one, ask thought-provoking questions. And for the last step is allow children to freely experiment with different color combination and observe the results. So for the next slide, I'm going to discuss about results. So for the results that we observe is this. So the observation is fizzing occurred immediately upon contact, bubbles and foam were produced. The reaction varied based on how much vinegar was added, and children were excited and used descriptive language like it's popping and everything. And for the third point, the reaction varied based on how much vinegar was added. That means like whenever the children add the colored vinegar on the baking soda, and it gives some kind of the fizzing occurred and everything. So the children was too surprised. They were like, oh teacher, look at this and everything. And for the measurement that I'm going to talk about is the amount of vinegar. The amount of vinegar that we pour is 3 ml, the first one. So the seconds it took for fizzing is 4 seconds, and it was mild fizzing. And for the second one is 6 ml of vinegar that we pour, and the fizzing duration was 8 seconds, and the fizzing intensity was moderate fizzing. And for the last one, the ml was 9 ml, much more than the others. We poured 9 ml, and the fizzing duration was 12 seconds. And the last one is fizzing intensity. The last step is strong fizzing. It's quite more fizzing and bubbling over there, popping, and it's a bit bigger like that. So yeah. And also I'll be talking about the discussion. So this activity demonstrates a simple acid-base chemical reaction. The combination of vinegar, acetic acid, and baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, release carbon dioxide gas, producing visible bubbling. The more vinegar added, the strong and longer the fizzing lasted, showing a directed relationship between the amount of acid and reaction incentives. So that is what we are going to explain. That means whenever the children added baking soda, they spread it and everything. After they spread it, they start pouring the vinegar. That vinegar we mix with food coloring, which is like pink, blue and yellow that we mixed. And then children mixed up the color, make it green, make it purple. They were so outstanding, like so many colors they did. Even they was like surprised, like teacher, it's popping, teacher, it's something bigger, teacher, it's something nice, I'm gonna do this color, I'm gonna do these shapes and everything. Children were so excited when they started to do stuff like that.
The case began that our activity link is children show curiosity by exploring the reaction, work in group, took turns using materials and clean up responsibly after the activity. Second is children use their sense of sight to see bubbles, hearing to hear fizzing, and touch to feel texture to observe the experiment. Third is children measure vinegar using pipettes, which are non-standard units, to understand volume. Fourth is they make reasonable assumptions such as more vinegar will make more bubbles based on their observations. Fifth is children predicted outcomes before mixing the ingredients, such as it will fizz when I add vinegar. Sixth is children explained what they saw by talking about the bubbles and describing how the reactions look and sound. Seventh is children compare amounts by describing more or less fizz, identify equal or unequal reactions, and discussing which group used more vinegar. The last is encourage HOTS, higher order thinking skills, collaborations, and communications. The possible experimental errors or improvement. The first is some children add too much liquid too quickly will make it hard to observe. Second is in the future, droppers can be pre-measured and vinegars add in stage. Third is use digital timers or allow children to record observations with a tablet to integrate technology. Conclusion. The results supported the hypothesis combining vinegar or citric acid with baking soda produced fizzing and bubbling due to the chemical reaction. The activity effectively promoted children observation, curiosity, and understandings of simple scientific principles. Some recommendations for future activities: we can try different acids such as lemon juice or orange juice to compare reaction. We can also give predicted sheets where children can draw or write what they think. The first key findings of our activity is fizzing reaction. A visible fizzing occurred when baking soda mixed with vinegar, confirming the chemical reaction and production of carbon dioxide gas. Second is high engagement. Children were curious, making predictions and use descriptive language to explain their observation. Third is scientific inquiry. The activity promoted scientific inquiry, problem solving, and understandings of causing and effect.